when did the universe first start? Like who did the Big Bang?
Yeah.
Who banged it? You know?
Hi, Jessica. Nice to have you on. Welcome to our channel, which is Conscious Unicorn, all about mind, body, and spirit. And today we are going to talk about helping people who are looking into transitions, who want to find fulfillment in what they're doing, and to also understand a little bit about Reiki healing. But before I do that, I want the audience to know a little bit more about you. So Jessica was featured on CNBC Make It and also the New York Post. She was a CIA analyst for 11 years, and she transitioned into becoming a Reiki healer and also a stand-up comedian. Some of her clients include Patty Stanger from the $1 Million Matchmaker. So welcome, Jessica, to this chat that we're having.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. All right, so let's start. I guess maybe if you don't mind sharing with us, how did you transition from being a CIA analyst to a Reiki healer? What was your story, and share with us what the transition was like?
It's a very long story, but I'm going to try to keep it short.
Sure.
And the short-ish is that I got very sick from migraines in my mid-20s, and I passed out, and I was unable to the medical help wasn't really working for me. And I passed out from a migraine at a friend's house. And then I woke up and his hands were working on me and I felt better. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, I'm doing Reiki. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's an alien language. So then I ended up going to a healer regularly for a long time, in addition to getting medical assistance. And I had kind of a spiritual awakening around 30.
Yeah.
And I was doing stand-up at night. I was working at the CIA during the day. That was very stressful and crazy.
Yes.
It was a really challenging and weird life.
Yes.
I was definitely not at my best as a person.
Yeah.
I was not really living in alignment, but I also with who I really am, which I didn't really even understand at the time.
Yeah.
And I developed a really strong intuition through meditation, which was not a goal of mine. It just happened through all meditation and through all of the work I did on myself with psychologists, with healers. And I started to hear my intuition, and I would hear very distinct instructions. Like, it's time to quit your job, over and over again. It's time to quit your job. It's time to quit your job. And I was like, you know, it was wild. I started to see spirits in the woods.
Wow.
I was living in the woods of Virginia. I was an atheist. I didn't believe in anything. Yeah. And I started seeing spirits. And it was crazy. I thought I was going nuts. I went to a psychiatrist and I was like, am I schizophrenic? Like, what's going on? And turns out I'm not. But I thought that's what was happening. And I followed the next steps. I listened to the steps to quit my job. I didn't do maybe the smartest thing. I cashed out my 401k. I was doing lots of acting gigs. And I really fell into doing Reiki. I did not set out to be a healer consciously. My sister was sick. She has a chronic situation, and I was able to help her mitigate her pain through Reiki.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I have something. And then my friends just were like, work on me, we'll pay you. And then it just like happened. And I was part of this women's group, and people were just offering me money to do healing work.
Yeah. Wow.
And then I legitimately turned it into a business and rented an office in Manhattan, in New York City, and I just started. That's how it happened. I mean, it's kind of a crazy story. But it's a crazy journey.
So I guess I have two questions, but the first question is, you said you had a spiritual awakening, and that's what helped you, I guess, in a way, in discovering what you were meant to do. Could you share a little bit more about that spiritual awakening, and what does a spiritual awakening look like? So some people may think that it might look like, oh, a bright and
Horrible.
happy.
It's a horrible, I mean, it's very painful. I think people have been through it. It's very painful. Your whole life seems to fall apart.
Yeah.
And it's an ego death. It's a death of the
Wow.
ego.
Yes.
And reality as I knew it turned out not to be real.
Yeah.
And a spiritual awakening looked like a mental health crisis.
Yeah.
Is what it looked like. And it was a mental health crisis too.
Yeah.
It got resolved and sorted out, but
yeah.
it certainly was a disaster.
So it looked like, I guess, a spiritual awakening isn't always something which is a bright and happy moment in your life. It can come as a form of like really breaking down. It's like breaking down, feeling really strong emotions, feeling like everything around you is crumbling. The sense of yourself is also almost like, who am I? Is that sort of, yeah.
Yeah, I think a spiritual awakening is kind of like a rock bottom.
Right.
You have a spiritual awakening for those, you have a spiritual awakening because you have no choice.
Yeah.
Because you've reached such a low point that you have nowhere to turn.
Yeah.
But spirituality. Everything else is crumbled.
Yeah. So it sounds like, oh, sorry, carry on. No, go ahead.
I don't remember what I was going to say. Sorry.
I guess I was going to say, so it involves, I guess, a breaking down of yourself. It involves like a self, you building yourself up again and listening to the universe, right? It's like listening to these messages or to these things, because you said you heard some voices, right? You said you heard some voices. So again, how could you differentiate a voice which is, just the chatter in your head, and that voice which is, you need to do this and this is the path that you need to take?
That is a brilliant question, because I think that there are several voices, because I think there's the mental chatter of your conscious mind. I think there's the fear voice. And there's different fear. There's fear of like a visceral fear, like maybe you're physically not safe. But then there's the ego fear, that ego voice of saying that you're not enough. And then I think the voice of the intuition is very peaceful. It's very safe and loving. And for me, it would come after meditation. So after hitting these blissful states of long-term meditation, then the intuition would come in, and for me, so now when I hear it, it sounds like I feel a certain feeling. I feel like a swoosh, and I hear a certain voice, and I know that it's the true voice for me, the true intuition.
Yes.
But you have to sort of, I think that listening to your intuition is like playing an instrument. Mm-hmm. Intuition is an instrument that's internal, and then you have to sort of tune it. I don't know if that makes any sense.
That makes sense. So it isn't a voice of fear. It doesn't come from a place of anxiety. It really comes from a very, very peaceful place. Like you said, a place almost like a place of stillness. And there is this, I guess not, it can come as a voice. Some people might hear it as a voice or a message that's coming to them, that a longing to do something, but it comes from a place of when you are quite still. Is that?
Some people hear it, get messages in their dreams. Some people get it when they're exercising.
Yeah.
People get it when they're, dancing around.
Yeah. So I guess, how can people be more in tune with this voice? How can people start to tune in and be more aware and conscious? What would you suggest?
I mean, I think there's so many things that people can do.
Yeah.
For this, so I'm going to try to narrow it down.
Sure.
One of them would be to work on yourself mentally. So so heal your inner wounds.
Yeah.
When you heal your inner wounds psychologically, I think that your intuition becomes stronger.
Wonderful.
Meditation is great. Making sure that you have the time and the stillness to just be with yourself.
Yeah.
Instead of being in like maybe a large group, or some people will absorb the energy, or empaths or sensitive people, who will be highly intuitive will absorb the energy of everyone around them. Yeah. And so the more that they can stand on their own and be their own kind of tuning fork,
yeah,
the stronger. Going to a meditation retreat would help.
Yeah.
Eating a clean diet, like food can change your intuition. Stuff like that. I don't know if that's helpful.
Lovely. No, that makes a lot of sense, because like food has a form of energy, right, as well. So if we are eating foods which are maybe not made with love, or you know, you can be affected. And like I hear you say sensitive people, and that is something I would identify as someone who's quite sensitive, so I feel emotions. So I know the impact as well when I do eat foods which are not healthy, and how that sort of clouds your mind as well. So I definitely agree with you. And the food, and then going with healing, I guess healing yourself as well, so that you heal the pain, right? Sometimes there are trauma, sometimes there are things from your past which you need to look back and really go into it. So rather than run away from it and keep running away from it, and to be with it, so that then your intuition can come into, and you can listen to that voice clearly from a very clear place.
Right.
Okay, cool. I think we covered quite a lot of things in terms of transition. I guess if someone is looking to transition into maybe they really don't like what they're doing and they're really unhappy with it, what would you suggest to them? What would you tell them to do?
I think the first thing is they need to unpack the belief that they don't get to do what they want for a living.
Okay.
I think I think that there's so many mental programs of how we think that we need to live. And when we get to identify those mental programs and remove them and replace them with what we want, a lot of spiritual people will talk about manifesting, but they don't really talk about the work that lies underneath manifesting. And the work is really reprogramming your subconscious.
Yeah.
So if anyone who's watching or listening is not living their life the way that they want, I ask you to examine, what are your beliefs about your life?
Yeah.
Where did you learn that you don't get to live the life that you want?
Yeah.
Was it your mother? Was it your father? Was it society? Was it saying that a man has to earn this much money, or that you can't do math, or whatever it is?
Yeah.
And then I would do tapping. Tapping is one of my favorite things. So EFT tapping, I would do tapping, tap on those beliefs, reprogram your brain. Because when you reprogram your brain, you have the opportunity to reprogram your reality.
Wow. So it's all about first, like, I guess first working on themselves. It's really about and realizing that it's not something that's easy. It is not an easy path when you do want to transition and you want to manifest that life that you want. You do have to go back into things where you need to work up, you need to work on, you need to heal yourself first before you move into that transitioning into a different part. And also looking at your belief system. So what are the things which I believe maybe that are hindering me, beliefs which are not allowing me to create the life that I want. So there might be certain beliefs that are stopping you from doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it has to be hard.
Yeah.
I don't think that, I mean, healing is often, the process of healing, the process of working on yourself is often challenging because it's an ego death.
Yeah.
But if you're more flexible and you're like, you know what, I'm done. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready to live a new life, and I don't care what I have to give up.
Yeah.
And so I don't mean like physical things, because what you really have to think about the heaviest things we have are in our minds, in our hearts, in our
Yeah.
souls. That's where we carry the most luggage. So
Yeah.
if people are willing to dump all that luggage,
Yeah.
then maybe the transition doesn't have to be too hard.
Yeah. So letting go, isn't it? It's all about letting go of,
Right.
and I think you say, yeah, it doesn't have to be so hard. And I think it's hard because we cling on, right? We cling on to certain beliefs. We cling on to perceptions of who we are, and then that doesn't allow us then to transition into, again, also even hear the voices, because we are still so stuck in that mindset and the belief system as well. So thank you. I think, yeah, letting go is it sounds like it's not, and I know even from my journey, it's like I have yeah, I still do have a negative, some negative mindsets, but I'm aware of it. And then I go, oh, just let go, come on. like so yeah, it is not that hard, but is then the ego is like, because you identified with it for so long, and it's such an easy, your mind, even when we talk about our mind goes to that thinking so quickly because of the wiring, that is created over such a long time. So it's about just shifting that, letting go, breathing into it, and just going, yeah, I'm no longer that. I'm something else, or some.
I was reading a Buddhist text, and they
Yeah.
were talking about enlightenment.
Yes.
And it said that the birds don't carry suitcases.
Yeah.
Birds don't carry anything, but they're soaring. Yeah. And so if you want to soar, you got to let go of your stuff.
Yeah, I love that.
And then once you're there, and then I mean, I haven't reached enlightenment, but once you get there, then you have to incorporate that knowledge into your life every day, because in this world,
yes,
as you know, as everyone knows, there's an enormous amount of suffering.
Absolutely.
There's so much suffering here. It's unbelievable. And even if you have a good life, there's still suffering. And then one of the things I guess I learned, people act, there's so many things. I'm on Instagram a lot. It's my addiction, but there's so many things about like, block this person's toxic, this person's not good for you. But it's like, also a lot of people hurt you by accident.
Yeah.
And you hurt them by accident all the time. Yeah. We are just accidentally hurting each other.
Yeah. Yes.
Not everyone's a monster.
Yes.
And then to be able to see yourself and other people as imperfect human beings, who are still worthy, who are still lovable, or who are still, maybe you should block XYZ person. Yeah. Maybe that's better for you, which is fine. Yeah. But at the same time, maybe they accidentally hurt you. Yeah. Maybe they just don't realize, oh, he forgot, whatever he did, or she did, or they, or whoever. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I went on some tangent.
Yeah, no, it relates to everything. It's also a realization that people are not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. We're all not perfect. And I think personally for me, that is something that I'm starting to realize, I think, in my life. And it is something which I've always, I like perfection, but then also when I have those sort of perfectionist standards, then that means that I then also put so much pressure on myself not to, it's almost like you can't let go. Then it comes to the feeling that you can't let go, and you need it to be like this, you need it to be like that. So in a way, it's like you can't just be free. And you also then can't accept others for the way, because you can't accept yourself, because you're looking for perfectionism in others. So you also then want to be perfect yourself, and it just doesn't work like that. And people are not perfect, and life is not perfect. And that's when we say, like, there is always suffering. There is always some form of suffering. And I know in Buddhism they say that life is suffering. It sounds very negative, but it's actually not. It's just that what it just means that life will have its ups and downs. Just be okay with it, you know? So
yeah, ride the wave.
yeah, absolutely. Okay. Can I just ask you a question? I guess so now someone is looking to just one tip if they want to start to transition roles. They are looking that maybe this role that I'm in, I know we sort of touched on that, we went into letting go, but just one tip that you would give right now. Okay, what can they do?
You mean aside from tapping?
Aside from tapping, maybe something that they can, okay, or tapping is something that they can do. Is there anything else that you would suggest for them to do?
To switch roles in general, you mean?
Yeah, like they're not happy, maybe something like you, they're really stressed, they have not been happy for some time, they're starting to feel quite depressed, and it's really not for them. Maybe they're scared to transition, they're fearful about it. What then you know, what would you suggest to them? Just one thing. Maybe you have more than one, but besides tapping.
Besides tapping.
Besides
okay.
tapping.
I would say, like, can they do, this isn't true for everyone, can they start to do their hustle that makes them happy now? Can they do it even a little bit? Can they do it on the weekends? Can they do it at night or in the morning?
Yeah.
Can they incorporate a bit of what they love into their daily lives? Maybe something that they love, they are not making money on or feel like they can't. Excuse me. Sorry.
Bless you.
Sorry.
Bless you again.
Thank you. You know, so maybe they feel like they can't make money doing what they love.
Yeah.
So, can they bring some of that into their life right now?
Okay. That's really good. I think that's a very useful.
Micro dose.
Yeah.
You know, micro dose.
So start to do it in small doses, like you said, micro doses. Start doing it at night, start doing it in the weekends, you know, sort of like start it. Don't wait, really just start doing something about it and start it in small, right? Like
and be consistent. I mean, for me, this is one of my biggest challenges is consistency.
Yeah.
Like, be consistent, start small, don't worry about the outcome.
Brilliant. I love that.
Also enjoy the small things.
Yeah.
Like, how does this flower look?
Yeah.
How does this perfume smell?
Yeah.
Just smell it. It's too much. You know what I mean? Just like a lot of mindfulness is just presence, is just paying attention to what's happening.
Yeah.
The green wall in your background is so beautiful and rich.
Yeah.
Your yellow couch is also beautiful and rich.
Yeah.
You know, the color is so bright. I love it.
Thank you.
This thing is fuzzy.
Yeah, I love that as well. It's very cute.
It's fake, but you know.
I love the Buddhas and all of that. Your painting as well. It's very nice.
Thanks. My sister made this. There's a butt.
Oh, lovely.
You can see there's a butt.
Oh, lovely.
Lovely butt.
That's on the side, isn't it? The butt cheek.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Butt on the side. And and my Buddha has a llama's ashes in it. So.
Oh wow. Llama.
Yeah, like a llama, like a Tibetan teacher. It has a man's ashes in there. A lot of sacred up. Yeah.
Lovely. Well, now I wanna ask you how, what, where, why, when, but we'll leave that for another time.
It's a gift from a client.
Oh, lovely. Including the ashes, or?
Yeah. Almost everything here was a gift. Almost all of it. Yeah.
You're manifesting gifts. Lots of gifts.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
All right.
I want to keep going. I want to keep doing good.
So if anyone wants to send Jessica gifts, go right ahead.
I'll give you my Venmo. No.
All right. So okay, let's talk a little bit about. I think we've talked about transitioning. Now let's talk about Reiki. So I know you told us about how you transitioned into this role, how you started your business. Now, I guess for people who do not know what Reiki is, how would you describe what it is and what it can do for them?
So I would describe it as you have Reiki is attuning the energy of the body.
Mm-hmm.
So it's attuning the energy of the body, the mind, the spirit all together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really about bringing people into alignment, into an ideal alignment. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people, you're a psychologist, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people feel weird or bad or off, or that their life is off, and they don't know what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, they're like, something feels right, doesn't feel right. I can't find love, and my left shoulder hurts all the time, and I have trauma that I can't get over, and my body's holding a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way that I work is actually mix a bunch of modalities together,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of do my own thing at this point. But it's all like in the same field of energy healing. And the purpose of energy healing is to really, the way that I like to see it is you're working with energy, but we're also working with rewiring the subconscious,
Mm-hmm.
and helping reprogram the subconscious, and to get a lot of people get into a blissful state. A lot of people get over huge hurdles, huge amounts of grief, death, miscarriages, etc., all divorces, all sorts of pain. And it really helps people relieve pain mentally and emotionally, and so sometimes physically, that they can't get rid of otherwise. And so it's working on another level. Like, I love it when my clients also have therapists. Some of them don't, but I prefer that they do. But because I like to work in tandem, because the therapist works on the mind, and I mean, I teach my clients how to tap, and I teach them attachment theory if that's relevant, and I use a lot of tools that like a psychologist would use, but I'm not a psychologist by any means. But I listen to people through as compassionately as possible, as I can, and sometimes just hold a space. Sometimes people just need to be seen. Some people just need to be like, they were traumatized by something, and people don't believe them, and they just need someone to just hold a container for them to express what they can't express elsewhere.
Yeah.
So the purpose of the way that I see Reiki is much bigger than it was intended. And it's just the purpose of it is to really transform people into who they want to be.
Yeah.
And there's always levels.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So it sounds like it works on, especially like things which sometimes maybe, let's say they are seeing a therapist and maybe they've been seeing a therapist for some time, but they still feel like a sense of block in that area. So it sounds like it helps to heal certain energy blocks. Helps to heal certain parts maybe which you can't just deal with through the mind.
Yes.
Is that sort of?
I believe in therapists. I go to therapists. I recommend therapists. They're great. But sometimes you need more, or sometimes you need something different. Yeah. And then I have therapists who recommend me.
Yeah.
And doctors too.
Yeah.
Who will refer to me, which is nice. But not everyone's ready. Not everybody wants, some people are scared.
Yeah. Maybe tell us a little bit about how does Reiki work? Like how, I know how, I've studied a little bit of Reiki, so I do know a bit of background, but I think maybe people who are watching this, they may not know about how does Reiki actually work. So they realize that it's actually not something that's it's not something that's weird or it's strange. It's something that's really very, because it is important, because it's simply just energy healing. So maybe if you can share with us how does it work, that would be great.
Well, it's really about we generally work through the chakra system. Yeah. So there's 7 main chakras in the body, and we help balance. And the different energy centers would be your root, which is where your perineum is, your sacral, your solar plexus, your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown. And you're just connecting. You're removing whatever imbalance is in those areas, and each area connects to different organs. It connects to different times in your life that it's developed. It connects to different areas. So like solar plexus will be about personal power, executing things, self-esteem. So it's really also connecting. It's about universal energy and about life force. So it's really not. It's not something crazy. I mean, when I work, I'll call in whoever they want me to call in. I'm like, you let me know, bodhisattvas, angels, whatever you want. I got you. Your ancestors, whatever. You know, we have a conversation. But in general, it's about aligning the universal force that runs through the universe and having that run through the body.
Yeah.
And having the energy through the body also run. It's a very, my favorite analogy to it, I don't know if I'm explaining it well, or maybe you have a better explanation, but sort of like, I think of it as an electrical wire.
Yeah.
And imagine there's an electrical wire and there are a bunch of knots in this wire. And they're like, I'm plugging in the lamp, but it doesn't work. Well, you got to untie the knots.
Yeah.
And then plug into the electricity, and the electricity is like the universal life force, and you're the lamp.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. I like that. It's so simple and clear. Exactly. Like if there are knots in you, you know, you're not going to be able to switch on. You're not going to be able to function. And then it's really about caring and healing those parts, which, and I guess like you say, unraveling those knots so that you can flow better, you can think better, you can and feel maybe a release in certain areas where you might be experiencing constant blockages.
Right.
Can I just check with you, does it help with trauma as well? Does it help with somebody who has experienced perhaps traumatic life experiences and maybe certain things in their childhood?
It's helpful with trauma.
Okay.
So I used to have very challenging trauma sessions every day, sometimes multiple times a day.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of clients who have a lot of trauma come through, and it's incredibly helpful. And there aren't a ton of I've tried all of the techniques available for trauma. I haven't done psychedelics for trauma, which is not legal in the US yet, but they're in like different trials. And I don't think I'm a good candidate for that. I think I'm too sensitive. Because I've thought about it and been like, maybe, and then I'm like, no. But it's really powerful through trauma. And I also do somatic release. So through my fingers, I help release trauma through the body, through touch.
Wow.
And that works. And I've held space for so much trauma.
Wow.
Especially sexual abuse.
Yeah.
Ton walk through my doors, men, women, whoever. Yeah. I was doing so many that I had secondary trauma from doing the work all day. Which is part of it's a real thing that happens in psychology, as you know.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know.
So it's like you've been working on clients who have these traumas, and you're constantly working on them. And so is there a way that you're able to now deal with that? Like, is there a way that
I don't have as many trauma patients anymore.
Okay. So they're all healed. So everyone who...
They're done. No more trauma. No, we're done. They're not coming through the doors.
Yeah.
I don't know where they went. They're not here anymore.
They're all like, thank you, Jessica. I'm perfectly fine. Yeah. So you have some way, I guess, of taking care of yourself, and you said also like you don't see as many trauma patients. Clients.
Yeah, I mix up clients and patients. Yeah, I mean, it was not on purpose that I didn't see them. They just stopped. They just didn't come as much. But yeah,
which is a good thing. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. One of my best friends is an ER social worker, and she spent 5 years in the ER doing emergency social work, which was all mental health. Yeah. Suicidal people, delusional, schizophrenic, manic, depressive, everything. And she lasted a really long time doing that day after day. It's very hard to, people burn out of that kind of work. There's a thing called compassion fatigue.
Yes. Yes.
In psychology
Yes.
for psychologists, for therapists.
Yes.
So, but, you know, I used a lot of techniques to clear myself.
Yes. That's good. That's good. So it's so important, I think, like, I mean, if anyone is in such a line of work, if they are caring or if they're giving to others, it's so important that they also take the time to take care of themselves and like fill up their own cup.
Fill up their own cup. I don't know why this looked like
drink. Have a drink. Maybe subconsciously. Did you mean that subconsciously?
Yeah.
Well, maybe this might work for some people. I don't know. But just limit it, please. We're not endorsing alcoholism here. So.
No, the Buddha's not into intoxicants.
All right. So one thing is, does Reiki help in professional life? Like if they feel stuck, if they feel again, I guess back into transitions, like moving into transitions. And you shared a little bit about how you went through a transition. You fainted, and one of your friends, you know, he swept his hand around you, and you felt healed. Yeah. So maybe tell us a little bit about that, and how can it help people with in their professional lives?
Okay, so from a Reiki perspective, or just if we just talk chakras, let's say the second chakra, which is over your uterus if you're a woman, or your prostate if you're a man, a few inches below the belly button, that's the sacral chakra. The color is orange. That area is about career, finance, sexuality, creativity. It's a lot. It's very important.
Yeah.
Balancing that chakra is going to help you with your career. Another great thing is the solar plexus chakra.
Yeah.
This is about having the power, the willpower to move through and to accomplish what you set out to accomplish, and to have the confidence that you can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, when I have a new project or new idea, I'm like, can I accomplish this? And then I'm like, even if I can't, shouldn't I try? You know? And also the root chakra. The root chakra is about feeling safe. It's about feeling rooted. It's about feeling like you are, you have your tribe, you have your family, you have your home. Having those, I think especially the lower chakras, having them aligned is really good for business, for transition, for having that. I mean, your heart's important, your throat's important, all of this. Your third eye, sure, your third eye and your crown are good for receiving your intuition, for opening your intuition, for connecting to the universe or God or source or whatever you call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. Does that? I think that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that does. So it sounds like it definitely does help with people in their. Yeah.
I've transitioned so many times, and I intend on transitioning forever.
Yeah.
I don't think I will. There is no getting there. There is no landing. There is no, all right, I'm done.
Yeah. It's a constant evolution, right? Yeah. It's a constant growing. It's a constant learning. It's a constant discovering about yourself. And I think like, even in this journey of, even in your personal life, it's like, it's always about learning more about yourself and realizing new things. And, but yeah, I think it does. So it sounds like the Reiki is going to help with developing courage from some of the, like you said, the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and it's going to give a bit more strength and I guess willpower to carry on. If you said you're going to do something, do it, you know, like, so, okay, great. Thanks for that. Now, one last question is, or maybe one of the last questions, is that can someone help themselves with Reiki? Do you suggest that, or and
yes.
how can they do that?
So if people get Reiki 1 attunement, they can do Reiki on them. They can do Reiki on themselves.
Okay.
So it will help people manage their own energy to do that. Absolutely.
So there's the one or two attunement. Sorry, I just want to clarify because maybe some people don't know what that is. What is that? Is it a course? Is it a?
I mean, you are learning, and you are also being initiated energetically into being able to do something.
Okay. Okay. So it's like someone passing you something to go, okay, now you can do it. Now you can do it for yourself. Here it is. So now you can start to channel that energy.
Yes. Yeah, you have to learn things and then you get initiated.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, I think we've covered most of the questions related to transitioning and Reiki and healing. Thank you so much for that and for sharing your input. Just before we go, I want to get from you, is there anything that you want to share? Is there anything else that you want to say before we end our conversation today?
I guess maybe this is obvious or maybe it's not, but if you are suffering right now in your life, it is temporary. If you are thrilled right now in your life, it is temporary. All of your feelings are legitimate. I see you, I hear you, but they are also temporary. So if you're suffering right now, I'm sorry. It will stop, but there are so many tools available to help you process whatever you're going through, to get through whatever you're going through, and to get you to the other side. So if you're having a hard time, I hope you find your way. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I think it's such a peaceful and beautiful message that you just shared. So thank you for that. And maybe just before we end, how can people reach out to you? What's the best way that they can connect
they can
with
reach
you?
out to me on my website, Love and Light Services, or on Instagram.
Okay.
It's Jessica Brodkin, Brodkin.
Okay.
That's Brodkin. So you can find me there. I have a ton of stuff listed on my Instagram bio.
Okay.
So people can reach out to me there.
Okay. I will add everything down below in the video so that everyone can access and connect with you as well. So thank you, Jessica. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me. This was great.